You're muted. You're muted.
You're on mute, Dominic.
Oh, I lost seconds
There you
there.
go. Thank
Yes.
you.
You're welcome. I misplaced my eyeglasses, but I will do my best to share as much eye contact. Oh, just my luck. June 1st. It was a very special and invigorating day for me in New York. I'm going to share with you my eventful Saturday. It was a beautiful, sunny Manhattan day. I could hear the birds chirping, and I witnessed swarms of New York pigeons swaying back and forth in the sky, diving down to snatch thrown away food, commonly called New York garbage. At 8 a.m., one could see the sky open up with hues of cheerful blue colors. It was refreshing to leave the apartment early on a weekend and seize the day. My husband was pleased to see me leave so he could peacefully continue to watch his cricket and golf matches. As I walked toward West 59th Street, I stumbled upon a street fair where vendors were setting up their booths to sell food, clothes, and New York souvenirs. As I turned on West 59th Street, commonly known as Central Park South, more people had emerged. The robust sounds of cars, buses, and taxis were blasting away. It was 9 o'clock. Manhattan had finally awakened. I thought how rewarding it was to escape from my home to rejuvenate myself. When one is walking solo, it's interesting to see random strangers smiling back at you when suddenly you realize it's because you're smiling at them. A promenade up Central Park South, I noticed perched on a fence a large baby red-tailed hawk. What is a red-tailed hawk? It's a North American bird. It has long, broad wings with tails that are reddish-brown color. Red-tailed hawks are 18 to 25 inches long with wings that can span 4 feet. Locals and tourists alike stood around snapping pictures as the hawk continued to flaunt and pose. We decided it was a she. One serious looking man in particular had his camera attached to his tripod, using a large telephoto lens to carefully capture the hawk's fine details. As more onlookers appeared, the photographer slowly disappeared into oblivion. As people walked by, they looked at us confused, glancing at the luxury office residential building in front of us, noticing a plaque in bright gold bold letters reading plastic and laser surgery, and eyeballing the hawk, assuming it was part of the landscape. The hawk remained parked in front of the residential office building, perched on the fence overlooking a tiny garden. People assumed the hawk was a fake until it started rotating its head like it was auditioning for a Psycho 2 movie. One visiting tourist commented to her husband, "Only in New York." Another random tourist from Pennsylvania remarked she needed this unique experience because of unsettling issues she was experiencing. Neighbors and remaining tourists felt united as we continued to open up to one another. I continued to mingle with the growing small crowd. One neighbor expressed the hawk looked more stressed. Another tenant from the building pointed out he could see from his terrace a family of 4 hawks living in the garden, sometimes observing one of them munching on a mouse. I couldn't understand why the Hawk family would prefer to live across the street from Central Park and not inside the park. As a matter of fact, there is a hidden place inside Central Park for bird watchers called Northwoods. One can see all sorts of birds. Side note, in late February of 2024, New Yorkers lost a special owl named Flaco, who tragically died crashing into a glass office building on the Upper West Side. Flaco escaped from Central Park Zoo a year ago. He was riddled with poison from eating rats, developed the flu from pigeons, and became partially blind. This Eurasian owl was a symbol of hope and freedom. For most New Yorkers, hundreds attended his memorial in Central Park. Now back to the Hawk story. Parked across the street from the Hawks' unofficial residence stood a white Carvel ice cream truck in front of Central Park. I didn't think anything of it until I saw the ice cream truck vendor race across the street toward us, dodging ongoing traffic in both directions. He was wearing blue surgical gloves, and dangling from his hand was a long strip of raw chicken. Coming from a Carvel truck and holding a long piece of raw chicken? How did he manage that? He caused an emotional stir. Some women did not want him to feed the hawk. Others said the hawk was stressed and may bite. The ice cream man ignored the nervous complaints and commented to us in a strong and confident way, as if he was on trial. What are we doing? He continued, we're just standing there looking at the hawk, smiling, and taking photo shots or photo shoots. He left in a hurry to attend his anxious customers after placing the strip of chicken in front of the hawk. The ice cream man was right. Meanwhile, a few women and I were frantically calling the WSPCA, the Wildlife Conservation Society, and random vets. No one answered on a strange and beautiful, invigorating Saturday morning. I have to confess, after the Carvel man made his strong remark, I had an epiphany. I realized this large red-tailed baby hawk could barely fly. His legs seemed injured, and he was probably hungry. One woman observed the hawk crash into a window earlier that morning. 10 minutes later, the ice cream man returns to check on his fellow hawk. The hawk didn't touch the chicken as it lay baking in the sun. Immediately, Carvel man tore the strip of chicken into tiny pieces, giving his cell phone to an onlooker, asking her to film him as he successfully fed the large baby hawk. The hawk seemed perky. The electrolytes must have kicked in. A newcomer appeared, offering us lots of complaints and no solutions. In fact, I thought of my mother. When my sister and I were younger, we tend to complain. My mother would sternly eyeball us, saying she didn't want to hear complaints. She wanted to hear solutions. I started calling the New York Police Department. Suddenly, the disgruntled newcomer approached us and started behaving like a tour guide. He would tell passerbys to come and look at the hawk after telling us minutes before not to get near it because she could attack. He continued repeating himself, reflecting on close encounters with hawks when he lived in Mississippi. As he repeated his ongoing story to onlookers and passerbys, I slowly managed to ignore his noise, and my concentration level became more acute. Hark! A policeman took my call, noted my contact details, and promised to call back. Meanwhile, the unofficial tour guide heard my pending success story and started complaining again, targeting me as he babbled away. The police wouldn't do anything. My tranquility for nature was evaporating as the tour guide escalated his story, accenting it with unquestionable and colorful words. As promised, the police called back to get more hawk details, asking if I had a box to place the hawk inside. They were coming in 2 minutes and for me to remain there. I asked the disgruntled man if I could find a box. I asked if he could find a box, trying to suggest something useful to him. Big mistake. He growled, exposing his big teeth, commenting, "Who do I think he is?" I approached two lovely ladies, asking if they could help find a box for the hawk for the police to use to transport it. They delightfully accepted the task. Minutes later, they returned with a box they got from the doorman next door. The box read, "Handle with care." You can't make that up. It was a success. The disgruntled man became more enraged, calling the two ladies stupid, which made the ladies turn red in the face. As my eyes locked with theirs, I defended the ladies, thanking them and commenting they did what the police wanted. The ladies slightly smiled and nodded. 3 New York City officers appeared and were shocked to see the enormous size of the baby hawk. This type of task was a first. The inexperienced officer called their sergeant for advice. Magically, the authoritative sergeant appeared. A neighbor who lived next door offered to get a towel that turned out to be unnecessary because the Carvel Hawk Whisperer arrived wearing his signature blue surgical gloves, shouting to the police that he and the baby hawk had bonded. He was right. At this point, the furious unofficial tour guide disappeared into oblivion. The baby hawk was placed inside the box provided by the two thoughtful ladies. The young officer, who had never encountered such a task, carefully placed the box on his lap, sitting in the front seat of the police car with his hand slightly hovering over the box's top so she wouldn't escape. He looked like a responsible babysitter. The officers turned on their sirens, whisked the hawk away to the bird sanctuary inside Central Park as the sanctuary waited for her arrival. The ladies who assisted with the box share their happy ending with their fellow doorman next door. We felt good. We felt better because all of us did something. Instead of standing there and taking photo shots, as the hawk whisperer had well expressed. Thank you. I know I went over. The passion.